All right, today we're diving into something pretty interesting, Web4 Studio version 3.5. Now, this is a release that claims it could totally change how we build and even how we experience social networks. You might be thinking, wait, Web 4? What happened to Web 3? Well, just think of it as the next step, a vision for an internet that's all about a seamless, user-owned identity. The real question is, could this tool actually be the foundation for that new kind of web? Okay, let's get into it.
So let's just start with a problem that I know you know. Seriously, how many different logins and passwords are you juggling right now? It feels like dozens, right? Every single time you want to try a new app or join some new community, it's the same old story. New username, new password, another profile you got to fill out. It's just constant annoying friction in our digital lives. And what this does is it creates this completely shattered experience. Our identity, our data, our friendships, they're all locked away inside these separate platforms, these walled gardens, as people call them, that are all controlled by a handful of giant companies. We're basically digital tourists, constantly needing a new visa for every single place we want to visit online. And that right there, that gets us to the absolute heart of the matter, the internet's massive identity problem. The simple, kind of crazy fact that there's no single universal way to prove who you are online, that is the root cause of all this mess, all this friction and fragmentation. And it's this exact problem that a whole new generation of tools is finally trying to solve. And that's where Web4 Studio v3.5 comes in. Look, this isn't just some minor software update. You've got to think of it as a completely new toolkit, built from the ground up for the builders, for the founders who actually want to create the social networks of tomorrow. It is designed specifically to tackle that identity problem head-on. So, how do you even start a revolution like this? Well, you start by making it ridiculously easy for people to build. Version 3.5 completely revamps the entire experience for creators. We're talking a super clean dashboard, really intuitive drag-and-drop tools, and a mobile view that just works. This is huge because it lowers the barrier to entry so much. You don't have to be a coding genius anymore to launch your own community. Making things easier to build, that's really just the beginning. The real, honest-to-goodness game changer in this whole release is a revolutionary new take on identity. It's a concept that basically works like a universal digital passport for the entire internet. It's called the UIID protocol. That stands for Universal Identity ID. And that digital passport analogy, it's perfect. Imagine having a single, permanent ID that you and only you own and control. And because it's decentralized, it doesn't belong to any one company. It actually belongs to you. This is the key. This is what unlocks a fundamentally different kind of web. And when you see it side by side, the difference is it's night and day. Before, we had all these fragmented identities, that constant sign-up friction, which led to all these walled-off, siloed user bases. But with UIUID, you get one unified identity. One single login for everything, zero friction, and, this is the massive part for anyone building something, your app gets access to an instantly global user base. This quote really nails the most powerful advantage here. Just imagine you're launching a new social app today. What's your biggest hurdle? It's finding users, right? But with UIID, anyone out there who already has this digital passport can instantly join your network. Your platform is no longer this isolated island. It's connected to a global identity layer from the moment you launch. Now, beyond just fixing the identity problem, v3.5 gives founders an incredible amount of control over the fundamental rules of their communities. And we're not just talking about what the network looks like. We're talking about what it is, right down to its very core. So, the first huge choice you get to make is a pretty basic one. Is your community going to be private, or is it going to be public? Are you building a gated, exclusive space where access is restricted by default? Or are you building an open, discoverable platform where anyone and everyone can see the content? This one decision completely defines the entire vibe of the network you're building. And you can get even more specific. For example, what happens when someone who doesn't have a UID just stumbles onto your site? Well, you can show them a simple login gateway if you want to prioritize privacy and security. Or you could show them a read-only newsfeed, letting them browse around and see what's happening, which is great for maximizing discoverability and tempting them to join. The point is, it's about giving founders real strategic choices. So, when you start putting all of these pieces together, the simple building tools, the universal identity, and all these deep controls for founders, a much, much bigger picture starts to come into focus. This isn't just about building another social app anymore.
The whole advantage really boils down to three simple things. First, it lets you build easier with tools that are powerful but also intuitive. Second, it helps you grow way faster by letting you tap into that pre-existing global user base. And third, it gives you genuine control to define the very DNA of your community. This combination is really being positioned as the foundational layer for the next generation of social media. We're talking about a social web that is decentralized, user-owned, and interoperable from its very first line of code. And all of this leaves us with one last big thought. Tools like these are all about shifting power away from those massive centralized platforms and putting it back into the hands of individual users and creators. So the question we have to ask is, are we on the edge of finally building an internet that truly, actually belongs to its users? It's something to think about. Thanks for watching.